to Mr. Hemstreet and Mr. Brucci, along with Mr. Munson, Ms. Nye, Mr. Pascura, Mr. Reyes, and Mr. Alshire. The question is, what is the proper balance between redevelopment and historic preservation?
Yes, ma'am. I look at downtown as having a lot of potential, not an eyesore. Yes, some buildings might have to come down, but others can be preserved to the best of the ability to keep the historicness about it, to make it look more modern while keeping its historic value of the past. In order to do this, yes, ma'am. I have nothing to add.
Mr. Munson.
Put a lot of thought into this issue for a lot of years. And I have a very specific answer. While we need to be mindful of and protect those things that are truly historic, redevelopment is vital to the success and the life of our community. We need to protect the historic, but replace simply the old and dilapidated. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Nye?
This one's near and dear to me. I sat on the Historic Preservation Board, and I know that our architecture is one of the most important things that we have here in town. When we have tourists that come in, they look up. They don't look down at the ground, thank God. They are seeing what Hagerstown was and what it still can be. Also, when it does come to the guidelines that we have in preservation now, they have been relaxed. And to be truthful, I think they've been relaxed too much, but that gives the proper balance. You'll see that there were one of the historic sites that Mr. Bowman now owns. I know that there was controversy over the windows. The windows now, that's one of the relaxed part. We have a split when it comes to historic and saving the historic. So I'm just hoping that everyone does see that we are history and we are architecture, and that's who we should remain.
Thank you.
I think that the historical aspect of downtown is definitely one of the draws that brings people here. As some of the other candidates have said, however, that doesn't mean that we need to maintain every single piece of property that has no historical value and it's really run down and it would cost more to revitalize. So what I think that means to continuing development is that we have to match the look and feel of the town so that when we architect new buildings, they have to fit within. And there are certain eyesore examples in downtown of buildings that do not match at all the character of the town. I think that the Historical Preservation Society, or whatever it may be called, the board, has been, and this is a complaint that we hear very often from business, entirely too focused on the historical aspects of buildings. It makes absolutely no difference whether we put energy efficient windows that match the look of the historical windows, but provide all the benefits of modern technology and at the same time still maintaining the historical character of the city.
Thank you. Mr. Reyes?
Yes, I believe redevelopment is very essential to our economic growth as a city, because it brings forth opportunities to our city and communities. And at the same time, I believe in preserving the historical sites in this city. I echo the councilman that said the buildings that's dilapidated and can't really be renovated or really can't uphold, then maybe we should consider, tearing it down. But I do believe in the preservation of historical sites. So I would definitely be a proponent of preserving the historical sites here in Hagerstown, and at the same time renovating and bringing growth and development to the city of Hagerstown. Thank you.
Mr. Alshire.
I've said this before, in every block, we have an anchor. Every block downtown there's an anchor. In every block, about 50% of it is functioning well. In every block, about 30% is in some state of transition. And in every block, about 20% of it is deterioration and blight to that block. It's got to be removed. So the first thing you need to do is identify that. The second is you need to follow a plan. We actually have a plan that identifies every building down here and classifies it in order of importance. We need to follow that. The third is, for those that may be confused, we don't own these buildings. So we need to differentiate between those that are going to want to work with us, like WLR, who does a building here on Washington, Bowen, who did the university building up on Franklin, and Fitzgerald, who did the Grand. We need to identify those folks that want to do those things and work with them, and we need to identify those that want to just leave them fall apart and enforce our regulations upon them. That's the only way we're going to change that dynamic and that thought process to get those buildings out from under those private ownerships that want nothing to do with improvement and get them back into some type of usable fashion.
Thank you. And Mayor Brucey.
We actually do own buildings currently, the city of Hagerstown, that could have been demolished, and you could have Class A office space on those locations, which was alluded to about the old no-tell motel and the building in front. They would have taken down the building in front. They would have had a plot-ready piece of land that the city owned that they could partner with the developer to actually put a Class A office space there, which is the entrance to the core of the city of Hagerstown. When you walk out of here tonight, I want you to look across, take notice across the street to the building just right across the street from us. That building today would not have been there today had a plan been followed through, or at least having the chance to come to the end of the plan to find out if it was feasible or not, because the Board of Education would have been there in a new building. There's also, we have 500,000 square feet of either underutilized or dilapidated square footage in downtown that we can partner with people to do great things. I do believe that we need to keep what we can keep, but I also know that we need to get rid of, as Mr. Alshire said, what needs to be getting rid of.
Thank you. Okay, the next question is will be